Right, welcome to episode number 4 of our training diaries.
So this week we're going to talk about our routine. We got back into a normal routine this week after being away the week before, and we're going to focus on motivation this week because it's something that more you than me, I think, felt that you had to tap into a bit, and we've got some thoughts around motivation, probably from other people as well a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll finish off with a few tips of what we find works really well for people, things that you might be able to use yourself, especially through these slightly darker, chillier winter months that we've got, and the added mayhem of Christmas. But first, how was your kind of week anyway?
So
what were you doing?
I think mine was maybe more, I don't know if straightforward's the word, than yours. I got my new gym routine set up, so I'd intended on having that break when we went to the Pennine Way and then starting a new routine when we got back. So the new routine consists of 4 sessions rather than 3 this time. I'm still focusing on the 3 big lifts, so squat, bench and deadlift, but I'm structuring it slightly differently so that I can get more, I can go heavier with them. So I've flipped it around a little bit, so I'm doing the heavier stuff at the start when I'm fresh. I was supersetting those big lifts the weeks before, which means putting them with another exercise, so that can sometimes take away a little bit maybe from your main lift. So I've taken that element away. That was while I sort of got into the form of it, and now that I'm just focusing on doing the heavy lifting, they're just on their own. I'm doing some accessory work around them, and then my 4th session is a more full body, kind of lots of mobility stuff, some single leg stuff because that's where I'm not great, and a little bit of a HIIT, high intensity interval training thing to finish off. And then my runs, I'm going to get back into 3 runs a week, maybe 1 more short one, but that might be more towards the new year. And I think again, we'll talk about this a bit later, but the difference between motivation and inspiration for me. So I got sort of inspired when we were away last week and started wanting to run again. That probably is to do with me not running much and having a decent break. So yeah, I built my runs up a little bit more this week. I went for a longer one that ended up being a bit longer than I intended, which is how it used to be. But it was all good, all easy. I also, I talked a bit last week about my pull-up, and Jayson showed a little video. So it's not been a major focus, but I've had this block with it that I haven't been able to get around. I'm looking up there because I'm looking at the pull-up bar for some reason. But basically, when I've been trying to do pull-ups, I've been putting my whole hand around the bar. So if Jason's wrist is the bar, I've been putting my thumb underneath. And when you do that, I knew it, but I hadn't twigged. You kind of rotating your shoulder inwards a bit, aren't you, to hold it like that. And I felt like I was blocked and that I couldn't use my back. And one of the guys at the gym watched me doing it and he did it with just his hand around the top like that, not hooking his thumb under. And I saw that and I thought, why is he doing that? And he was like, I always do it like that. And I tried it, and it was so much easier because I was able to move my shoulder down in its socket more. So I was able to get into that lat muscle rather than just trying to pull with my arms. And it did make a big difference. So I didn't talk about that last week because it was a bit too detaily. But since I've come to that conclusion that my thumb's really short and stubby and not helping get that rotation right, it's made me want to do them every day. So I've been trying to do 1 every day at least, as well as some other bits to help it. Whereas before, when I wasn't getting anywhere, I was doing it 2-3 times a week because I wasn't getting anywhere. Yeah. So that ties into the motivation piece, I think, doesn't it? Yeah. If you're looking for motivation to do something, like I wanted to do a pull-up, but I didn't really want to that much because it wasn't, felt like I've been working on it for so long and I'd got to this point and I couldn't break through. So I wasn't giving it any more because I was like, well, I'm strong enough. what's the problem, but just one little tweak has made me want to do it more, which is obviously going to help me get there.
Quite a good point. That was quite interesting because I felt like that with the swimming as well, that I was putting loads of work in and not really getting anywhere, and I knew I should be, and it just took one sort of adjustment to my technique, and it's changed everything again. And I think you can get that, can't you, if you're working away on something but you don't feel you're getting anywhere. Sometimes it is, you just need to put the background work in, but sometimes if you're not improving, that is quite demotivating, and sometimes it's just an opportunity to then maybe step back and look at things and go, well, am I doing something wrong? And you clearly did, because your back is strong. You know, so when I look at you and the things that you do, I kind of struggle to almost understand why you can't do a pull-up, because you are strong. So it is just being able to engage the right
it's the
muscles.
Mechanics of it that I hadn't worked out how, and something so simple as moving something that's far away from the muscle you're trying to engage, which it works for a lot of exercises, really, doesn't it? So that's been my, I guess from the last 2 weeks has been my big learning. Everything else this last week has been.
How long are you going to do like this strength lifting phase for?
Excuse me. So next 2 weeks, and then we've got a week where we're off, haven't we? The week after Christmas. So I don't know how much I'm going to get to the gym. So I'm either going to, if I can get to the gym 3 times or more, I'll do that week. Sorry. And if I can't, it's my ginger tea.
Whiskey and ginger tea, I think.
If I can't, I'll just have a bit of an easier week and roll it over to the first week in January, and then I'm going to stop doing the big lifting heavy in January, and I'm going to start to gradually increase my runs. I'll keep going to the gym probably twice a week. But, and I don't want to do more than that, because I need to start upping my running for the races that I want to do. And if I'm trying to do heavy lifting in the gym and more running, it's not going to work. Don't really go so well together. Not when it's focused running, and not when it's bigger volume of running.
Okay.
So how was your week?
So this week was good in the end. It started off, it was a bit hard because we've been away, and when you've had a good week away on holiday or whatever, and then you sort of back into the routine. Obviously we're into December now, it's darker and colder a little bit, so I needed to sort of just push myself out the door a little bit more this week, especially going swimming on Monday morning. Although, I was looking forward to going swimming because I'm quite enjoying that at the moment. I just needed to give myself a little bit of a shake to kind of remind myself that I was enjoying it, and that I was lucky that I could do it. So other than that, the biking, the bikes probably felt hard this week because obviously it's been very, very icy outside, it's been dark, so I've got a lot smaller window to get out on the bike if I want to go outside in the daylight, and I don't really want to do everything on Zwift inside. Although I probably would do and be fine, but I wanted to try and get out. So with it being so icy on the roads, I decided that I'm not going to bike on my road bike on the roads anymore. I went out this week and I felt a bit rough anyway, and I just didn't enjoy it. I was too careful around everywhere, so I've decided that's it for the road bike outside at the moment. If I go outside, I'll take my mountain bike or my other single speed beast. So I think it's this time of year, isn't it? We need to sort of think about, we maybe can't quite do the things that we were doing the same way as we were earlier in the year. The sort of weather does have an impact. I think either running or biking, actually going off-road, is more fun at this time of year. Obviously running on sheet ice on paving slabs maybe isn't a great thing, but generally all the mud's frozen, so it's quite nice.
Yeah, now it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is quite muddy otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a really nice run on Wednesday, off road. Like, all the mud was frozen. It was a nice sunny day, and I actually realised I enjoy running more while I'm doing it than the other things.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just really enjoyed it. It was great. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then swimming. I mentioned it a little bit last week. I had a bit of a breakthrough because I had a lesson with Ian Mulrooney, and he saw me swimming, and I think that's the problem. That's the difficult thing with swimming, is you can't obviously see yourself very well, but you can't video yourself very easily. So getting that feedback on how you look, I know it's the same with a lot of things. You think you look a certain way or you're moving a certain way, but the reality is you're probably very different.
Yeah.
And the first thing that he noticed with my swimming was I was just laying very flat in the water, so as if I was, and I think I know why. So I was basically trying to swim as if I was still laid on a surfboard, where you are trying to stay on the board. So that's the front of the board there. So when you're laying on a surfboard, you want to keep it flat like that, not let it rock side to side. So I was sort of swimming, trying to keep my body sort of straight and not let it rock side to side. And I was focusing so much on my arms, I'd forgotten about that. So he told me gave me a few drills and prompts to get me to sort of rotate my body a lot more. And it was just, it was night and day.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant, and that's made a big difference. But having said that, I now have to recalibrate everything, because now the timing's changed, with the position of my arms feels like it's different and stuff like that, so I'm kind of recalibrating that.
Right.
But it's good. I think the numbers wise, because triathletes seem to like numbers quite a lot. And you tend to measure your speed on swimming by your time over 100 metres. So my 100 metre intervals that I was doing were sort of 1:50, 1 minute 48 per 100 metres. I got up to that. That was the best that I could kind of do. And then this week I did that session, and they've come down to 1:38. Sort of 1:40, and it feels a lot more comfortable. So that's given me like 10 seconds over 100 metres, which is quite a decent jump. And I think there's there's more to come. Yeah.
So what about good, I mean, we've kind of talked about it a bit, haven't we? Good bits, highlights.
Yeah, my highlights were having a nice run on Wednesday, definitely, and the swim starting to feel like it's coming through now, which is really nice. I did a mountain bike ride yesterday, which really enjoyed, and realised / remembered how different that is to riding the road bike. I'd say it's much more physical, because you're moving around a lot more. It's quite on off, like fartlek type training. You're pedalling hard to get your momentum over some rough bits, and then you sort of ease off on downs. So it was quite nice to do that variety. So I enjoyed that. I did my first brick session. So a brick session being a bike and then a run off the bike. Obviously that can, if you've been pushing away on the bike, your legs can feel a bit tired, so it's a big thing being able to run well off the bike, and that was a bit of an unknown for me. I didn't know how I was going to do with that. I did some triathlons years ago, and it was terrible. Felt awful. So I did the first one of those this week, and actually went really well. I think I actually ran better off the bike than I did when I'd done my runs earlier in the week. So I was really encouraged with that. So it was good.
Warmed into it.
What about you? What were your good bits?
I mean, it's not massively interesting, but everything got done, and I felt all right doing it. So it's not like a revelatory thing or anything. It's just good to get it done, isn't it? And get it, and not be bored or really tired or feel like something wasn't working very well. Everything was just fine, so that was good. And I did have my first long run after doing 20 miles and 16 miles last week with James and Eddie, but I decided that I was missing that thing that we used to do with the club years ago, where we'd go and have a little social group run on a weekend, and it would just be at the sort of slowest pace, really, and we'd stop and chat and stuff, and it would be really nice and relaxed. And we sort of got out of the habit of doing that, I think, when we started training properly, basically. But I've come to the conclusion that I need to do that again, because it's really nice and it does actually give you a good training effect as well. Like you want to go in really easy on your long run, especially now where I'm not really focusing on the running. It's going to pay dividends later on when I start to do even longer and harder. And so I went out with a couple of people from the club, Andy and David, and we just went around the whole of Horkham, which is a really nice straightforward loop. It was foggy and it was really crisp and cold. The bits that are usually really muddy were frozen, so it was nice running. We walked all the hills, we chatted about wildlife, and we saw a Viking.
A Viking?
Yeah.
What, like a real Viking?
Yeah. We all saw him, so he was definitely there.
Please explain.
It's just a chap dressed as a Viking walking along by himself, and we all just went morning and kept going. And then we had tea and cake afterwards. So.
Sorry, that's so funny.
So that was nice. That was a highlight. Just going out and having a nice chatty run, tea and cake afterwards, nice chilled Saturday morning was really good. So they're my highlights, just simple one.
Yeah, I think you did well to come off the back of last week and sort of feel good this week as well. Yeah, because it was all easy and it was enjoyable, wasn't it? It wasn't. That's the thing I want to get from my long runs, is just enjoyable and not feel wrecked the rest of the day or the day after or going into the next week. So keeping it easy, social. Cool. That's going to be the way. Good.
Yeah.
So for you, we talked about motivation, and our sort of tip of the week or tips of the week, I guess, are around that. You mentioned, how making sure you're doing something properly, I guess, with your thumbs can help. Making sure if you've got your technique right, you can therefore see a path to improvement.
Yeah. And I think the doing of it. So the biggest thing for me with motivation is it doesn't just come, does it? You can't just will it into being, and you can't just go, I need to read a book or listen to something to get motivation. It doesn't work like that. It has to come from action. So if you're a book or listening to something or going out for a nice run with your friends might inspire you to start doing something, but the motivation element of it is the continuing to do it, isn't it? So you're not going to continue to do it unless you do it, and you're not going to get motivated unless you do it. So you've got to go out and actually do the thing that you want to get motivated to do.
Yeah.
So the pull-up thing was useful because I knew there was a switch that flipped and I knew that I could do it better. Therefore I knew that I could improve, so I was going to do it more. But I think, we hear often, don't we, I've got no motivation, I'm not motivated to go out and do something at the moment. And there might be lots of reasons for that going on in the background, but the advice always is you've just got to go and do it. It might not feel like you want to do it, but I don't know many people that have gone out for a run not feeling motivated and come back and gone
Yeah, I think it like you say, it depends where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think we overthink it as well. Our imagination kind of can work against us as well, and we'll think about or project into the future how something might feel which might demotivate us if we think it's going to feel bad or it's going to be dark and cold and we're going to feel cold when we go outside. Whereas actually, if you just stop thinking about that and do the actions, like Kim says, take action and do what's there in front of your nose at the time, then you get out the door, you realise it's not as bad as you were imagining it to be.
It's that little thing, isn't it, of it taking all the obstacles away from you.
Yeah.
So rather than going, well, I can't go outside because it's too cold, going, right, what am I going to wear when I go outside?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it there, I'm going to put it on,
yeah,
and then I'm going to go outside and I won't be cold. What if it feels rubbish because I'm really tired this week? You don't know until you actually go. So it's just like, just go and take the first steps. If it feels terrible after 10-20 minutes, you can come back, can't you? You don't have to do a certain thing that you think you have to do.
I think that's the caveat, isn't it? It's give yourself permission. If you get out the door and you're doing what you are doing, and after however long it just doesn't feel okay for whatever reason, you might be poorly, then don't be hard on yourself if you decide to then come back and stop, because that is can tend to be more of an indication that actually you are tired or something else is going on. I mean, I did it on Wednesday this week. I went out, got myself out the door. It was a really nice day. I really wanted to go out in the sunshine, but I'd had a reaction to something I'd eaten the night before, and I felt really sluggish, and it was really icy, and I was just not enjoying it, and I just felt like at some point I'm going to fall off my bike and then I'm just going to feel lousy. So I did an hour and then came home, and I was okay with that. I was quite happy with having done that, rather than forcing myself to go out for 2.5 hours and feel rubbish and not get much out of the session anyway. So I think that's, you got to be careful that you don't just go out kind of bloody minded and hurt yourself, but at the same time sometimes you do need to use your imagination for you rather than against you. And I do that when I'm kind of if I'm starting to think, oh, this is going to feel a bit lousy, then I'll say to myself, well, what if it feels really good? Or what if I was doing it with this person that I have these little characters.
As well as in The Rock.
Yeah, and so I have these little imaginary characters or some real characters, people I look up to and things like that, and sometimes I'll imagine I'm going out and doing a training session with those people, or I'm going to meet them at the pool or something like that, and then I'll get to the pool and I'll be like quite excited, or I need to go, right, come on, let's get on it, let's do it. So I do use my imagination for me a little bit as well. So just sometimes we need to use that creativity in a good way.
I think I'm the opposite as well though. Like, I'm quite happy being in robot mode. Like, if I've got something written down, and this is to my detriment, if I've got something written down, I'll do it because it's written down. So that might help you to do your sessions, but then it's accepting that some things that are written down you don't have to do. But the fact that it's there, I'm going to start it, even unless I'm ill or unless something else affects it. So that might work for you. Again, I showed you my little notebook the other week. Having that little notebook with things written down, having your clothes laid out, you can just go into robot mode and you can just do. Don't think about feeling. That works for me.
Does it only work with things that you've written down in your book?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
So if I wrote something down, it wouldn't count.
It depends what you put. If it's have some cake, then that's fine.
Okay. Comments. Put some comments in the comments bit for suggestions for me to write stuff into Kim's book. Cool. Okay. So we hope that there's been something useful come from that. Let us know if there's anything that you use for motivation. I think we'd be interested to hear about it as well. So it's always yeah, it's a very broad subject.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has motivation, you know, that comes and goes in different ways and for different reasons. So yeah, thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.